Hi friends, this is Anna Marie Hedman, Certified Health Coach of the H2 Life and Bee. Today we are going to be making one of my favorite family recipes and a big hit with my children, a healthy minestrone soup in the slow cooker. What a perfect day here down south in Texas. Very unusual actually for us to have 30-degree weather and anticipated ice and sleet. So the perfect day to make this cozy soup that your family will enjoy. So what we're going to do is start off with really basic ingredients. You will need a sharp knife, right, to make sure that you cut those vegetables and dice them. You'll need a handful of carrots, a zucchini, some celery stalks, some green beans to chop up, garlic, onion, and then of course some diced tomatoes. So I'm going to put 2 cans just so I can make sure I have enough, right, and that there is enough flavor from those yummy tomatoes. And then of course, right, we got to get the protein in the minestrone soup. You can use cannelli beans, garbanzo beans, kidney beans. I just happened to grab what was in the pantry. So I'm going to use kidney beans and garbanzo beans in my soup today. You'll need some vegetable broth as well. And then of course the spices, right? The spices are what's gonna give a lot of flavor as the soup is in the slow cooker for about 4 to 5 hours on high. I like to use oregano and basil and of course a little salt and pepper to taste. So what I'm gonna do first is chop up my vegetables. One of the things that I love about soups, and I share this with my clients a lot, especially my clients who have children. Sometimes it's hard to get your kids to, gnaw on celery and zucchini and some of the other veggies. And a lot of times whenever they're in what I call a combo dish, sometimes it's easier for them to eat and be more receptive to trying those veggies, right? Because the flavor of the soup has absorbed. Everything kind of tastes in that same flavor category. So there's nothing that's really popping out at them. And they're more likely to enjoy it, especially if it's a really, really cold day. So again, when we think about, the philosophy with H2 Life, I just thought I would kind of give you a little bit of background. It's all about the balanced plate concept, right? So what does that mean exactly? That means that the key to having a healthy lifestyle, right, is to balance your plate. So that is having the essential macronutrients, having the fruits and vegetables, having the protein, whether that comes from legumes or whether it comes from poultry or lean cuts of beef, or my personal favorite, seafood. And we also think of healthy fats, right, and whole grains. So healthy fats would be things like nuts, olive oil, avocado as an example. When we think of, again, whole grains, we think of, let's say, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat multigrain breads, right? So we're thinking of grains that have substance, right? That have that fiber and have that protein that are going to provide some nutritional value to that meal, okay? And when we say balance, of course, we have to keep in mind serving size, right, and portion control. And so when we apply that concept, as I'm chopping these vegetables, to our meals, right, whether that's breakfast, lunch, snack, it's a lot easier for us to, let's say, sustain that new healthy eating habit. So for example, let's say you are trying to lose weight. A lot of times whenever we see these fad diets that have lots of restrictions, it's difficult to maintain. I'm not just making that up. That's what the science tells us, right? So when you are on, let's say, a super restrictive diet for 30 days, sure, you're going to lose a ton of weight. But the science shows us that that's not going to be, let's say, sustainable. It's going to be really hard to keep up with that for the rest of your life. And so what the science shows us is a Mediterranean style diet, a balanced plate approach to eating healthy is something that is more doable. We're all busy, we're all working, we have a million things to do. And sometimes it's just about making smart choices, utilizing, let's say, some of our traditional family dishes and just making a healthier swap. That's really it. So again, this particular dish, when we apply the balanced plate approach, right, we're looking at about 50% non-starchy vegetables, right? So the non-starchy vegetables are the vegetables that you see here that I'm cutting up. When we think of the protein, right, which is 25% of our plate, this is where we're going to get our protein, right, from the beans, right, from those legumes, if you will. And then when we think of the grain, which again is optional, if you're somebody that really wants to do lower carb, you don't have to add, of course, the whole wheat pasta, but that's something that I will add later. But I will, again, right, keep in mind serving size and portions. And that's really it. So you don't ever necessarily have to feel, for example, that, you know, you can't ever have carbs again, because let's be honest, carbs have been made out, you know, in the media to be evil, and they're not. Everything has carbs. This carrot has carbs, right? This zucchini has carbs, but it's just about getting the right kinds of carbs in your diet, right? And what I mean by right kinds of carbs are the carbs that have that fiber and protein that are going to provide that nutrition that your body needs. And that's what's key, is making sure that we're fueling our body with the things that it needs, right? So really simple. If it is grown in the ground, if it is grown on a tree, if it's raised on a farm or fished in the sea, it's generally gonna be really good for you. And that's really the concept of the Mediterranean style pathway, right? When we think about, I don't like to say diet. That's why I say pathway. Because when I say diet, I feel like, you know, it has a negative connotation just based off of what, you know, we see in society about diets. I don't like that word. We're talking about the food that goes into our mouths, right? So again, technically, when we think about what diet means, right, it's the way that we eat. And so, you know, again, the Mediterranean style is a way of eating. And when we look at the science of the Mediterranean style, it's really interesting. The data is out there and it shows us, and there's a reason pre-COVID, if you've ever been to Europe and you're walking around, you see an older population super active, right? Those seniors, those grandparents, those great-grandparents are still out and about, walking around, enjoying life. And again, the Mediterranean style diet is a, let's say, big part of that healthy lifestyle, right? And of course, just being active, just walking 20 minutes a day can really do your body some good. So again, what I'm gonna do here is finish cutting my vegetables, okay? And then essentially what we're gonna do is, and if you follow me here, is just put them all in the crock pot. So all the veggies, you are going to, this is kind of a tip, right, to open your cans, rinse them out first with water in a little strainer, then place them, right, along with the vegetables, okay, in the crock pot. Add your spices. You're gonna add about 1 teaspoon of oregano and 1 teaspoon of basil. And then of course you're gonna cover completely, right, with your vegetable broth. You can also, I mean, if you're not vegetarian like us, you can utilize chicken broth, you know, that would be, you know, fine too. And then of course, you know, you're gonna add your minced garlic. I would say about 1 clove to 2 cloves, depending on how big those are. And then you're just gonna let it sit for 4 to 5 hours, let those vegetables cook, you know, stir it around every so often. And then the final step would be about, let's say 30 minutes prior to, 30 to 45 prior to dinner time, is you will put in, right, your pasta. So in my case, we're gonna put some whole wheat pasta. I'm gonna put about 1.5 cups or so in that dish. We're a family of 4. And then of course, you know, we'll have leftovers, so that's really great. And you can also add extra greens. So if you have some fresh spinach leaves, you can put that in as well. If you have kale, that would be another great leafy green to incorporate into your dish. And then voila, there you go. And then you serve hot to your family, and hopefully you will have a meal that is easy, right? It's all in one pot. And of course, you know that your family is going to get the nutrition that they need from this balanced plate combo dish where you have your protein source, you have your non-starchy vegetables, right? You have the flavors of those spices, which we know that spices are so good for us. We're gonna put a little bit of sea salt and pepper, right? We don't wanna overdo it with our sodium intake because we don't want to drive up blood pressure over time, right? We gotta pay attention to that sodium. And then of course, like I said, you're just gonna enjoy this delicious soup on this cold day down here in Texas or wherever you are. And enjoy. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. Put them in, let's say, the chat box or the comment feature here. Thanks again for tuning in to my session today. Just a quick little easy family recipe that I thought I would share with each of you. And you guys take care.